Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. Um, Hope you're having a good Easter wherever you are. If you celebrate it, if not, I hope you're having a good time either way. Um, but yeah, welcome to another video basically. And yeah, so I want to talk about my dreams for Amazon to invest in AC Milan, and yeah, I have shares or equity in the club. Um, and that kind of thing. So I thought, yeah, just for a bit of fun, I would talk about one of my crazy dreams, my crazy mad dreams, and yeah, my dyslexic imagination, if you like, or even mental imagination, as I often talk about. And yeah, just have a bit of fun talking about football. One of my main passions in life. You can probably tell if you watch this channel long enough. But as ever, I'd love to hear what you think. Like, what do you think about football generally? If you like watch some of my other videos, and you're not specifically a football fan, I'd love to hear what you think about, or just generally, I'd love to hear what people think about football, and especially Italian football in particular, and especially AC Milan specifically for this video or these range of videos. But yeah, so I'd love for Amazon together with other companies that begin with A, including Apple, Alibaba, Amstrad, perhaps even maybe even Adani, although recently they've been involved in a scandal, so I'm not sure if they would be in a position to invest or it would be the right time for them to invest. I'm not sure. Maybe it could be something they could do to revive their reputation or to build their brand again, and it could be something that helps them to get back to being in credit, so to speak, or get back into yeah, basically to promote their brand. I don't know, but I'd love to hear what my fellow fans of football, especially AC Italian fans in particular, and specifically AC Milan fans especially, think of these ideas. And I suppose being rather greedy when it comes to my football teams that I support doing well, football teams that I love doing well, or soccer teams for any Americans out there, or Calcio or whatnot, for anyone who speaks Italian. Um, yeah, I'd love to see, as I say, Amazon, which is one of the biggest companies in the world, I think, probably up there. It's one of the richest companies in the world, or biggest companies in the world. So I'd love to see them, maybe even Aramco, perhaps, could perhaps, or again, companies that begin with A generally, or even companies just generally investing in AC Milan and investing as much money as possible, maybe even donating 10 or more percent of their salary, of their revenue, even perhaps, or profits at least, into the club. That would be quite interesting if if they invested that much. Um, and Amazon in return. So what would be, so hope I'll talk first about what I hope for the club to benefit with I messed that one up, didn't I? What I dream, how I dream the club would benefit, or in what ways I dream the club would benefit, basically would be through increased investment, meaning even better players, bringing back some of the glory days, academies for the future, um, and whatever other costs a football club has, and hopefully the foundation, which I think is really important. I often talk about, like, I'd love for 10% of the revenue or profits at least to go into buying even better players, 10% to developing academies, 10% for marketing, and half of that going towards so obviously that'd be 5% of the total going towards building supporters clubs or creating supporters clubs around the world, but just general marketing as well. The other half would go to general marketing, like advertising, branding, or whatever, and and then 10% to go towards the foundation. The remaining 60% would obviously be for investors, shareholders, and whatnot, generally, and that kind of thing. But obviously, it's what's in it for the other people as well. So I hope that would, from AC Milan's point of view, I hope it would lead to more trophies, especially as a fan of Italian football in particular, especially in Europe and internationally, winning like the World Club Cup. The Champions League and then the World Club Cup, the UEFA Super Cup, and things like that. And yeah, winning as many trophies as possible in Europe and internationally. That would be pretty cool. I would look for luxury brand companies like um, Bernard, company owned by Bernard Arnault, who is said to be the richest man in the world at the moment, supposedly, on record at least. But anyway, yeah, for Louis Vuitton, or even his other brands to invest, maybe Armani or the fashion industry, as Milan is quite a fashionable place, and I see Milan as quite a fashionable club. So I would love to see as many investors as possible, but Amazon would be pretty cool, like to see them getting into football or soccer, if you like. Maybe they could even, if they owned the club, obviously they'd probably think of ideas like having their own documentary specifically for the club. I mean, obviously they do. I mean, they do football documentaries generally, but they might want to do specific ones. Obviously, they have an interest in AC Milan doing well, I'm sure, because obviously being tied to the brand. And again, I'd love to hear, especially from my fellow AC Milan fans, or in particular, what you think of if they change the name to Amazon Calcio Milan, for instance, but because like other football teams have changed, like the logo or even the name, like Hull City Tigers. Um, and there was like protests because Hull City fans didn't want to be called Hull City Tigers because they said it changes the name of like the history which they've supported probably since they were young or whatever. But I wonder what AC Milan fans would think of name change. But what I thought was a happy compromise would be it could have many nicknames like Apple Calcio Milan, Amazon Calcio Milan, Alibaba Calcio Milan, um, even Amstrad Calcio Milan, um, and whatever other names are Armani Calcio Milan. Who could get more involved in the fashionable side as well, perhaps, as well as investing their money, their capital, and also Adani, Calcio Milan, and so on and so forth. And um, they could have academies. I'd love for AC Milan to have academies all around the world, academies and sports clubs, including being possibly the first to have academies for Native Americans and indigenous people, native people from all over the Americas, like Brazil, or literally every part of the Americas, as I put in speech marks for some reason. But yeah, so pretty much all of the Americas, as well as Australia, Australasia, like with Aboriginals, Torres and Strait Pacific Islanders, and Maoris, like having academies for them, as well as supporting their education, training, and things like including in STEM, science, tech, engineering, and maths and stuff like that. And also to have yeah, to support girls in developing countries. And I know I'm jumping from point to point, so please forgive me. But there's rules on financial fair play (FFP) where I think, if I'm not mistaken, like a club is not supposed to go into so much debt because if they pull out, then the club's left with debt. But if many co-owners and shareholders owned shares and equity in the club, including maybe even Aramco, Alibaba, Amazon, Apple, Armani, and others, Adani, saying other companies that begin with A, especially maybe, or maybe companies generally, Louis Vuitton, and companies like that all had their own equity and their own shares. Um, Obviously, those who put the most in would get the best shares or whatever, put the share price up as well. But even if some pulled out, there would still be some equity holders or shareholders, and maybe even the fans could have shares as well in the club on that note, as well as others, yeah, fans around the world and other companies might want to have shares in the club as well. So, and hopefully that would mean that people will be less likely to want to pull out their shares or their equity or whatever, and or if they felt that they were doing well from those shares, they might want to increase their sharehold in the club, equity in the club, and that kind of thing. But yeah, it could have many nicknames like Alibaba Calcio Milan, Apple Calcio Milan, and so on and so forth. Even Aramco Calcio Milan, and so on and so forth. And I'd love to see as much investment and sponsorship in the club. And again, they could have academies for those people. And with financial fair play, I say, I nearly forgot my point as I moved on. I think I'd love to see them, as well as other Italian teams and Celtic, also bypassing financial fair play by investing in, by doing a lot of football for good, which will improve the image of football. They could work with FIFA, UEFA, and the football bodies like, I think it's called CONMEBOL, if I pronounce that right, CONMEBOL. So I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's how I think that's how you spell it. And also the football authorities in across Africa and Asia and Latin America generally, and yeah, in Brazil, Argentina, and all over Perugia, Uruguay, Paraguay, and so on and so forth. And also Australia, and we're working with indigenous communities, as I say, to be the first to provide football academies, and then hopefully, if AC Milan do so, other clubs will follow suit, like Premier League clubs, MLS clubs, but I hope it'll be Italian clubs first, and Celtic, and then hopefully MLS and Premier League and other such clubs will also have their own academies for those communities, which will hopefully empower them and get more people to get into football and maybe even become footballers in Aboriginal, Torres and Strait Pacific Islanders and Maori communities, as well as in Native American communities, which would be good for FIFA. Again, working with FIFA, obviously, I'm sure they have an interest in getting more people into football and being seen in a better light, rather than being known for corruption or whatnot. So they'd probably want to improve their image as well. And again, they could work with, like FIFA could work with Milan and vice versa, as well as other Italian teams in Celtic, like to improve the image through the foundations and things like that. So they could work on improving mental health. AC Milan could work with Macmillan Cancer. I think that would be quite a fitting sort of thing. And yeah, they could work to tackle illnesses, diseases, and natural disasters and the effects of such, and help people around the world as well. And in turn, hopefully, be able to investors will be able to invest more in the club, and at the same time, as well as helping AC Milan to do well in terms of winning trophies, it will also hopefully help people from disadvantaged backgrounds. In terms of what's in it for the investors or shareholders or sponsors or whatnot, those who invest in the club. As people say, if you go into a business, they often say you've got to look at what's your unique selling point and also what's in it for the potential investors themselves, or that kind of thing. What's in it for people who sponsor or generally invest in, have shares in, equity in or whatnot, the club. And I think that what's in it for them, they could have like their own stores or sell their own products or have their own little factories, or little factories generally. I mean, in or as close as possible to the stadium and in Milan generally. So it could mean that they'll have more places to sell their stuff, and whatever profits they make from their stores in Milan, they could donate half to the club. Let's say 50%, obviously that'd be half to the club itself. And also it would be great, I think, if they invested at least 10% of their overall equity, of Amazon's own overall equity in the club, and also again other companies that begin with A, especially, and also Louis Vuitton and others. I think that would be pretty awesome to see that money. And again, if they could bypass financial fair play by doing football for good, I think that would be pretty cool if UEFA and FIFA allow them to do so. Gotta admit, I'm not 100% sure who like controls financial fair play. I'm not sure if it's UEFA or FIFA, but yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool if they could legally bypass that. Most importantly, being legally, and I think everything they do should be done legally and ethically. And if they could work on the academies, like encouraging people to be legal and ethical, like encouraging people to obey the law, maybe providing opportunities for people to get into football if they do good and don't break the law and stay out of trouble. Also, like do things like encourage people to do like litter picking or things like in Milan, and around the world in the academies, like encourage good values, if you like. But yeah, what's in it for the investors would be to be able to sell their wares, their products, goods, items, services, and that kind of thing in Milan itself, especially perhaps, and have access to markets. Also improving their brand, their PR, and extra places to sell stuff, extra factories. The Milan Council could perhaps give them extra spaces to produce things and sell things, obviously, and that kind of thing. And with Adani, I think it'd be cool if they had academies in India as well. Like, so yeah, there could be a cultural exchange as well. So hopefully it could be used for like diplomacy. Anyway, as ever, I'd love to hear what my fellow football fans, and especially AC Milan fans, or even Italian football fans in particular, think about these ideas. Maybe for April, I'll cover as many AC Milan videos as possible on Mondays, and in May it might be Inter Milan because I'm a football fan, Italian football fan generally, as well as being mad. As say, not sure which one comes first. Maybe I was mad before, and that's why I'm a fan of Italian football, or maybe being an Italian fan made me mad. I'm not sure, but anyway, I know this video's gone on quite long, so I'm going to end it here. And I'm sure there's something I forgot. Probably know me. I'll probably think of it later, but I'll probably post it in the comments as ever. And I am out. Peace and love.